Hi, in this video I built a hand tool cabinet based on Mike Pekovich's plan. I use reclaimed oak wood like posts, shelves, table feet, and something that looks like a mantle with a legion of rusty nails. Excuse my French, but son of a mother. I already have a fair amount of storage space, mainly for my electric tools, but I wanted a specific unit to store my ever-growing collection of nice hand tools. They deserve a better location than a drawer under my workbench. I managed to cut several decent boards, but most are quite rustic, let's put it this way. You wouldn't want them in your kitchen, but in an unheated basement, it's like a bespoke antique. The overall dimensions didn't matter. I did with what I had, or what I could save, as long as it made a rectangle. But FYI, it's 99 centimeters tall, 66 wide, and 35 deep. All made of 19mm thick oak boards, so quite a hefty piece when all glued up. I made sure that the sides are parallel to each other to facilitate the job of gluing, squaring, and fitting the doors later on. I don't know why I used wood filler on this board, as it is the side of the top board that would face the ceiling. Anyway, here's a little hand tool action for you. My brand new shoulder blade. I know I could have used a router, and yes, it probably would have been faster, but sometimes I enjoy the silence, and it was a lot of fun to make cross-grained shavings and watch the dado appear with little effort. I've shot a tool review about this Veritas shoulder plane. You can check it out if you're interested. Talking about routers being faster, I'm cutting a rabbet, or rebate, for the backboard on all four sides of the frame. Now, about the joints, I'm going to use dowels. I know dovetails would have looked better, maybe would have been sturdier, I don't know. Hand-cut dovetails surely would have been more educational to watch, but I already know how to cut dovetails. All the quotation mark house furniture I've made have dovetail joints, and I didn't feel that this project needed a traditional joint. And last but not least, I had never made a project with dowels, and I wanted to try it out. As I am a very cautious woodworker, I purchased a doweling jig to center the holes and facilitate alignment, but also for future projects in the workshop and house projects like a dressing closet, and I'm not using brand nails or dovetails for that. The Jessam dowel jig seemed to tick all the boxes. I will publish a more in-depth review of the jig on my channel very soon. But in a nutshell, it's a very nice jig. Hefty, sturdy, precise, quite easy to use once you get the hang of it. The only weakness is the drill bit included in the kit. It's not a broad point bit, and it cuts quite slowly, though cleanly in oak. I swapped it for a real wood bit, and it was like drilling in butter. I'll save the gypsum bit for drilling in softer materials like pine or MDF. As a dowel virgin, I made a big mistake when drilling the top and bottom boards. I didn't go all the way through the thickness of the boards because I was afraid that a row of beech dowels would look ugly on oak. I realize now that it sounds stupid because first, it doesn't look ugly at all. You'll see it on the doors. Second, unless you're a giant or a toddler, you will never be able to see any dowels once the cabinet is hung. And third, if you don't drill completely through one of the boards, where does the excess glue go? The answer is nowhere. It stays in the pocket and prevents you to close the gap while clamping. I wish I had the footage of me trying to compel two laminated oak panels with brute force while swearing in my mother tongue. It would have been quite educational. Only if you wanted to learn vernacular French. Lesson learned. I drilled all the way through the door cases, and it went smoothly. It's just that some 8mm dowels are just way too large to fit an 8mm hole. Not ugly at all. To assemble the door frames, I couldn't drill through the 40mm stiles and rails, so I trimmed the dowels and went easy on the glue, as the door face is going to be glued later to the door case. It just needed to stay together while I'm routing a rabbet for the panels. Oops, it was close to a catastrophe. I think I need to make a support piece. Now that's much better. The router is a beast. I would be better off using a trim router for that kind of job, but I don't own one yet. It's on my tools to buy list, somewhere behind a new planer, a new table saw, a hollowing jig for the lathe, the grinding machine, and so on. I bought some cheap plywood for the panels, nothing fancy, because I plan on covering them with a creation of some sort. First, I intended on trying my hands at marquetry. Then I remembered I have unfinished business with my kumiko journey. I'll try to make 4 panels to showcase different patterns I took from Desmond King's books, Shoji and Kumiko Design. I own all 4 books, so I have quite a collection to choose from. The making of those Kumiko panels will be detailed into 4 separate videos on my channel the following months. I decided on rounding off the plywood rather than squaring the rabbet's corners, because I didn't want to take the risk of having a joint come apart because I banged too hard on my chisel. I'm cautious, I told you. Now the door face is glued to the case, and nothing is coming apart ever anymore. I had 6 hinges on hand, but judging by the weight of the doors, and knowing that these doors will house tools on the panels and on the shelves, of course, not the heavy tools. I'm not putting my number 7 in a door, but you get the idea. I went with 4 hinges on each side. Yes, caution again. Cutting a hinge mortise can never be the highlight of your day, so imagine cutting 8 of those. I thought about piano hinges, the very long ones that would almost cover the full length of the cabinet, so no need for a mortise. I went to a shop next to my workplace to have a feel for it, and boy was I disappointed. The plate was so thin, and when I held it from one hand, it bent excessively. I expected it to bend a little, you know, with multiple pivot points, the length, the relatively low price, but I wasn't ready for it to arch. Lesson learned, piano hinges are for box lids. Period. The back panel is in 2 parts. I figured that with glue and screws, it would be sturdy enough, so I wouldn't need to go and buy another sheet of ply. And it is plenty strong. For the finish, I went with hard wax oil, because the can was already open, and there was enough for a single coat, even for the plywood panels, which will be covered anyway. Okay, let's put it there. Time for a long overdue cleanup. And wall paneling. I went with pine for the hand tool area, but I'll put OSB for the machine section. I'll hang the cabinet with the French cleats, then add space blocks and screw everything. Damn, that's heavy. Here, nothing fancy for the tool storage. It's a work in progress. As you can see, there is still a lot of space left for future tools, and when I won't find room anymore for a tool, it will be the time to consider a plane tool, swing out panels, drawers, tool holders, and whatnot. If you enjoyed that video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Have a great woodworking day. Bye.